My website for School Aid involved many complex tools and design elements, including learning coding languages for HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, as well as enabling it to be responsive through the use of media queries. I began my project by drawing design ideas from similar websites, observing not only layout aspects but technical transitions and effects that were used. I then began wireframing the basic design for the website across the 4 web pages that I wanted the website to include. To start with, I began developing the layout and design aspects of the homepage. This involved developing proficient skills in both HTML and CSS to first build the frameworks and then to style the web page. The homepage was to include a brief section for what each group in School Aid was about. It was then supposed to include a feedback section where current members of School Aid could share their experiences while being a part of the group. I then chose to include a selection displaying photos of both our students as well as those we have helped with the money that has been donated. This particular design element involved me using CSS to tell the web page when a user hovers over a photo to decrease the dark gradient over the photo and to zoom out to show the cool effect. There were 2 more design elements that I used in CSS in order to make my website aesthetically pleasing. Firstly was the use of some open source icons from a site called Ion Icons, where all you have to do is copy the code from your desired icon and copy it straight into your HTML file. The site gives you options from Android to iOS styled icons, as well as filled in or hollowed designs. This saved me a lot of time in my preparation to building the website, as I didn't have to design icons myself. Next, I set the background images into a fixed position and copied in all the required information for the web pages. Then I began using a design technique with overlapping gradients to give the background images for all my web pages a nice look so that they weren't intrusive on the text that was trying to be shown. This took a lot of trial and error, as it took me a while to find the right gradients in CSS for it to not be too dark or too bright. Moving on to my main complex techniques. I used JavaScript to enable my website to be interactive with the user. JavaScript is a high-level interpreted programming language which, alongside HTML and CSS, is one of the 3 core technologies of the World Wide Web. I learnt the skills necessary to use JavaScript from a JavaScript developer's course on Udemy. The coding you have just seen was the JavaScript code to build a sticky navbar that stays in place and gives all the functionalities of the navbar while you scroll down the page. This enables users to access the navbar without needing to scroll all the way to the top of the page. JavaScript was also used while implementing an API for a world map hotspot to give a brief description as to what the funding went towards. This was an idea heavily influenced by stakeholder feedback, especially from potential investors or donors, as for them to gain confidence in us, they wanted to see how much of an impact we were making with our donations. Within the JavaScript file, a marker was added to the map class, which was found by copying the latitude and longitudinal positions of the locations on the map. This meant that the marker would be added to the exact location of the project. I was then able to add a brief description about what the project was, which was displayed when the user clicked on one of the hotspots on the map in the charity page. I used media queries and responsive web design as my other complex technique within my project. Responsive web design is an approach to web design that makes web pages render well on a variety of devices and screen sizes. These media queries were used across each of the areas within my website. Because most users will view the website either on a laptop or a mobile device, the website needed to be fully optimized to accommodate all of these users so that all the content was able to be displayed. As can be seen in the video, for the mobile version, I had to recreate the nav bar to be accessible by pressing a button as the original nav did not fit in the area of the screen without the text being too hard to read. As can be shown now without the responsive web design, when the web page is resized to fit a smaller screen, all of the content is not fixed within any constraints and therefore overlap each other or go off the page. Out of the complex techniques, this was by far the most important, as I needed to ensure all potential users were able to use the website. This involved me getting a lot of stakeholder feedback from potential users, and then required me to alter the code across different screen sizes, which took a lot of trial and error, but ultimately was essential for the success of the website.